Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Merging Minds powered by BureauWorks. Today, we have a very special episode prepared for you. Today, we're going to discuss leadership with millennials. And today, I hope you that are watching, you following us, can learn from us how we think, how my generation that is now leading the world, starting to lead the world, is the reality, the principles, the values that we apply, and those, right? For this, I have invited one of my mates from the industry, my great friend, Didzis Grauss. I'm sorry with his name. Didzis, hello. Let me connect your camera here. How you doing, brother?
Hey, good job on the word. Sound
Oh, I
all
have so
right.
many difficulties for your name. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's all good. Nice
Well,
to be
welcome
here.
to the show. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today. I would like you to introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from, what is your job.
Hmm? Hi, my name is Didzis. I'm from Riga, Latvia, which is up north in the northern Europe region. I'm one of the four co-founders of Native Localization, and what I mostly do is I'm in charge of doing all the growth stuff, which means all the technological growth and all the business growth, and essentially trying to put my business on the map as much as possible. And I do some LangOps stuff as well. I've been named one of the LangOps Pioneers just recently, and just love to explore where this industry is going forward. And yeah, happy to be here.
Well, thanks so much for being here, my friend. Thanks so much. I haven't visited your city yet, so I have to go there. I have to go soon. By the talks we've been having so far, I owe you the first drink. So, I mean, when is it best for you, man?
Sorry.
When is it best for me to visit you, man?
Oh, any day is good. Just
Oh,
just let me know when you arrive, so I'll be happy to show you
when
around.
the good weather comes, that's gonna be easier, right?
Today is -10, so it's also a good weather for. It's a blizzard for 3 days straight, so it's
Oh,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's wait till spring at least, okay?
Okay.
Well, thank you for being here today. I have a very, I mean, we prepared a very interesting conversation because I want our friends here, I want our followers to get into the minds of a millennial leader like you, like hoping one day as well, because I've always thought of us as this generation who was promised the world. And okay, I'm not talking about being born in another century or the beginning of the 20th century, whatever. And I'm talking about what we live, right? What is going on in the world today. We're promised the world. We're promised we were trained better than our parents. We were trained for those amazing jobs. And then, at least in my experience, 15 years ago, the world just boom, collapsed that terrible 2008 year, right? And then it was the moment where people of our age came out it came out to the job market, and we had to, to survive. So let's say, right? The thing that I want to talk today is about those values, those life structures, those strategic structures, those ways of living and working, etc., that were taught to us that is really a thing to follow today, or is it all like that's not
Mm.
real, right? What do you think?
Yeah, you're completely right, because I think it was the same for you as well. When we grew up, it was nothing
Yeah,
uncommon when your grandfather, for example, worked in the same business for 40 years or something like that. Or my mother, for example, she's been a teacher in the same school for 20 years, and it's very usual for the generation before us to just stick with one thing and run with it until they don't have to work anymore, so they reach the end of their business journey. uh, for us, I think it's slightly different, but growing up, I grew up in a on a countryside, so there are some things that probably came with it. uh, one of the things I can remember is that what we were used to is always making do with what we have. So essentially making things work with the resources that are available to us. We just try to make the best of them, and we can talk about that later, how it translates to business as well. But I think that's one of the biggest things in life that basically defines how I operate, both in personal and business life. Just make the best of what you have. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and another thing is that what I learned very early in my life, also coming from this rural style of living, is that always look at yourself first before solving any problems. And yeah, these two
Yeah.
things have sort of followed me from my childhood to here.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. I understand, man. It's like I'm a small town province kid as well. I studied law. I studied international business stuff. But yeah, sort of. I mean, I've always understood everybody, and I really like those ideas that you come up with now, and this
Yeah.
perspective you put on there, right, brother? I want to ask you one thing, and I want to ask you a first question because I was even chatting with my dad to prepare for today's show, and I was telling him, Dad, if you could define me, how would you define me? And he says, like, I think on top of everything, the love, let's leave all those things not for the audience. But one thing that caught my attention on what my father said was like, what I'm proud of you most is your flexibility. Like, I'm 41, just turned 41, and I
Mm,
went out in the market, as I said, like 15 years ago, and I've been a tour guide.
mm,
I've done direct sales. I've done internships. I've traveled here. I've lived in
mm,
5 countries in 15 years and traveled the world, right? So one of the things that I don't want to say pride myself, but I'm happy to have to be is flexible person. And I told you, and I think when I was chatting with you the other day to prepare this chat, I said, dude, you totally. How do you see flexibility, my friend? How do you
yeah.
see that? What do you see um, in your role as leader?
Mm,
How has flexibility become a cornerstone? And share with us some examples on
mm.
your life experience.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is one of the biggest differences between generations as well. Because I'm looking at, there were some situations, for example, with my mom, when at some sort of her career she was offered to work in a different school, for example, and it was amazing to see how difficult was it for her to accept change. Like it wouldn't be that drastic of a change. Actually, it would be just a different school. But what when I thought about it, I think what characterizes us as leaders is, I think we have a much more bigger resilience to rejection. Um, and I think that this is what our generation is facing a lot when we try to reinvent ourselves, reinvent our services, reinvent our purpose, both as a person and as a business as well. It's a constant rejection until it's not. Right? You just keep looking for value until you find it, and then it goes through. And I think it goes well with how the sale process is nowadays as well. Um, yeah, I think being resilient to rejection and being resilient to things that doesn't work until they do. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed.
Yeah. Today as well, I was thinking of how we could name a conversation between two millennials that are starting to, or that are leading, that are in a good moment of their career. And I thought of calling us chameleons, kind of chameleons, like the sound, no? Like chameleonic leaders, right? And I
Yeah.
looked for a definition, and I was thinking, okay, so how can we define a chameleonic leader, right? So I
Mm.
think, to put it in context, I think a chameleonic leader is someone who possesses the ability to adapt and change their leadership style based on the context and circumstances that they're
Mm.
facing, right? Like a chameleon does, change color and blend with the environment, right?
Mm.
So I thought of asking you, given this definition of what chameleonic leaders are, and I
Mm.
consider you one, my friend, as a chameleonic leader, how do you balance adapting to different situations while maintaining a consistent leadership style? Can you tell us about
Mm.
that?
Yeah. First of all, I don't agree entirely with the second part, because blending into environment is something that doesn't work at all. I think that's the chameleon part that doesn't work. But you're right about the first part, that context is essentially everything. And how you get context on your organization is you look at yourself first. And I think that this is one of the things that, yeah, as I said before, just comes along with me from the childhood. And you constantly have to look at yourself if the things you are doing work, and you have to be honest with yourself. And there's no harm in just realizing that you have to drop some things that just essentially doesn't work. And I think we've seen good and bad examples of this happening in the industry as well. Maybe you read the news recently. I think it was 11 LSPs just went bankrupt in the Netherlands. And I don't know what are the core reasons for that, but if I have to guess, it might be the fact that it was not enough inward looking strategy for themselves, just maybe not identifying it early enough. But yeah, start with yourself and
Yeah.
constantly look at what you are doing.
In this last year, that the big year of AI exploding, that's been a common, right? Like it's got a lot of LSPs out of guard.
Mm.
It's got a lot of LSPs like preparing or not being ready, and things have happened like this, right? Yeah, I get it. It's totally true what you're saying, my friend. And
Yeah.
I was thinking as well, because I mean, I don't know you that much, but we
Mm.
chat a million times. We connected very, very well, and you know how I see you. I always see you as a model for a strategist, like a millennial strategist, the millennial Napoleon, right, of the industry, right? And I wanted to ask you today if you could share with us, strategizing with this chameleonic, this adaptability, millennial mindset, let's call it this way.
Mm.
Tell us, how do you use that ability to strategize in an effective way, if you may share
Mm.
with us?
Yeah. Yeah. In that regard, native is essentially my playground. And as I said, I'm not alone. I'm with three other of my co-founders, which uh, we had a lot of opinions about this type of structure at the very beginning, because we started as four co-founders with no employees
Okay.
essentially. So it was a situation that some say might be different at the beginning, and then there might be some differences in thinking at the end. But at the same time, it's very validating and great to have, for example, four different styles of leadership in a company, because we can operate with smaller resources, like more like a bigger enterprise, so to say. And
Does that lead
sen-
you to conflict sometimes with them, or is it understanding? Because I believe in the in having positive conflict, right? Positive conflict
yeah,
meaning hey, I don't think like you. I think you're wrong, brother, and we're gonna fight
yeah,
it
I
out.
mean I mean, of
Like,
course,
does that happen often?
if you think the same all the time, I don't think that's a recipe for growth, because the moments when we clash is, I think, the moments when we also grow in a way, because
Yeah,
growing not it growth has many forms. I've talked about this before. It's not just like financial growth, or it's also growth between the company leaders, and how to at some points maybe leave your ego aside and just be objective to the stuff that they are telling you. So uh, but in terms of strategizing, yeah, as I said, it's just native has been our playground, and we spent essentially last year just going through every bit and corner of our company, because we identified very early that the model that LSPs currently operate in is just a matter of how much money they have saved up. So because this model is slowly dying, and towards the
yeah,
end of the year it died completely. So uh, we started seeking value and strategizing, I think, from December of 22, something like that. And it's probably one of the most difficult things I've done in my life, because doing strategic work, it just moves the gears in your head, like
yeah.
no different action. So and it's
Can you
also,
share
again,
us? Oh, sorry,
sorry.
brother. So no, I was thinking, but I jumped on before. Sorry
No,
about
but it's also the same, because when you do strategic work, it's also a lot of rejection, and this is the rejection of ideas, because you constantly have to keep the pulse to see which idea is not working and which concept or strategy that you have maybe spent a week or a month on just doesn't work. So it's you keep rejecting yourself as well. You have to be very, very resilient. And I think your analogy on chameleons is that they also are very resilient and are focused on surviving because of their camouflage skills. And
Yeah.
so yeah, surviving is one of the chameleon's skills as well.
Yeah. Can you share with us some specific example on this, like an experience where understanding the
Yeah, I mean,
teams? Yeah.
we can look at the services that we provided a year ago as a company, and just what we do, with what we are doing now. For the longest time, we just did the standard thing that every LSP is doing. We are doing translation and proofreading. We have these ISO certifications. We do everything according to the book. Everything is going well until it doesn't, and of course, technology was always a part of that, but now everything is built around technology. What we are doing now is I'm again returning to my basic principle of working with what you have, and is one of the biggest things that work for us is working on these technology agnostic solutions in the company. But we are translation is still there, but it's another component of just creating a larger communication structure. So we are using different kinds of software that are already on the market. We just connect them together and make these localization products that work. So it's very different from what we did just 6 or 7 months ago. So we found value in this. I recently listened to Bruno Herman's talk about what's the future of project management, and he essentially penciled in two different routes, or where the project managers can go. One is being industry specific, and the other one is being workflow specific. So we took the workflow specialization way. So that's what we've been doing. So I think that's one of the biggest examples, because what used to be part of our core business is just now another component of what we do.
Yeah. Flexibility, my friend. Flexibility. You're a client-facing person, right? You have this personality that you like to go out there and face clients, correct?
I'm an introvert by nature, but
You are, but I mean, by talking, you can talk to you about many things, huh? So,
yeah, communication has always been there. I've been the one from the company to always be the one facing the clients, and be the one thinking about how we look from outside, and how we operate and what we can actually offer. Yeah, but I'm introvert by nature, so these things at one point I need to recharge alone.
Next time on Merging Minds, be an introvert leader.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Good. But
I have a lot to say about that as well.
oh, but regardless of that, and being flexible and leading with those flexibility and those experiences you've shared with us, how do you think those clients that you face, perceive those values, that flexibility of yours? How do you think?
Yeah, it's very difficult, because what I think currently is happening in our market is that because of AI, there's this misconception that everything costs nothing. The price is king, and it's a very difficult thing to just change the thinking about that. So what we are trying to do is the solutions that currently offer the maximum value, actually they require a lot of explaining, they require a lot of content, just for them to be able to just read it and soak it up in their own pace. And of course there are still standard proposal kinds of things for the clients, but I think the biggest value for the clients currently is that they are not bound to one solution, just one entry point for localization. Nowadays, I think the biggest value is that localization can be plugged in at every stage of whether it's marketing or product testing or yeah, essentially it doesn't have to go into one funnel at the end of the road and then just being completely disconnected from what the client is doing. But now it can just go like this, and it just be there when needed, and just doesn't create this friction that currently is being created by uh, making localization like a separate department or a separate sort of function in an enterprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
But
you
it
hear
takes
that in Europe, in the US, everywhere around the world. Yeah.
but it takes a lot of time
Yes,
to
indeed.
to talk about, to constantly talk about it, to show the value, to be
To the
able
clients. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, yeah, just to be able to take in this information, and it will take some time, but I'm very confident it's going into that direction.
Okay. And can you tell us now a little bit, if you look inside your structure, your team, your teams, is it multicultural, age, gender, pay? Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about that, and which strategies do you employ to comprehend their needs and aspirations?
Hmm.
This,
Yeah,
that's an interesting one, right?
yeah. I recently had a post about what it looks like to be an LSP in this era. So uh, I said recently that we are no longer hiring project managers. We are training orchestration managers essentially, and it's just like being able to create this pivot away from standard mm, processing of translation tasks into being able to understand and explain and be there just every step of the way for the client. So I think uh, or the nature of our employees is changing drastically, and it's very interesting to see uh, how our team is able to adjust to that. And
Yeah.
a huge part of that, I think, is uh, being able to trust them, and by trust I mean delegate stuff to them. Just
Yeah.
delegate as much as you can. Understand that this is a two-way process, because the you have to uh, understand that there will be mistakes at the beginning of when you delegate stuff.
Yeah.
It takes time for both of us to sort of uh, get used to these new
Do,
procedures.
do you have a
And
very multicultural team scattered all over the world, or are your people based in Riga? How's tell us about that a little bit?
yeah, we are currently based in Riga. Our sort of the nature of our employment has for the past 6 years been that we offer alternative to translators, essentially people who have studied translation. We offer them the alternative of coming to the other side
Yeah.
to just work on managing these translation tasks and workflows. So it's always been like that, but recently we are looking for sort of maybe other client facing functions such as sales and marketing to be outside of Latvia, because uh, our clients are not from Riga essentially. So we need to be closer to our clients, which is the UK, the US,
Okay.
and
Okay.
basically we are looking into employing people from abroad finally.
Oh, okay. So still like like an evolving process, let's say, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of
Flexible
adjustment
evolving
inside.
process, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of adjustment inside. We have project managers who have now become localization engineers, and they found sort of a newfound passion for the job, because
Yeah.
we've seen them really not liking to manage projects for years and years and years, and now for the past, for example, year, I've seen this spark in their eyes that they can actually work
Yeah.
on something that are super interesting to them, and just training and adjusting AI models for machine translation, post editing, and things like it's like they are going over hours, which we strongly suggest against. But it's because it's so interesting for them. They just it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I like
interesting.
the comment from Tatiana saying that, so are you moving from project management to process management, right?
Yeah, essentially that's what it is, because we are thinking about localization as components. We put together components through integrations, and localization itself, and the the translation part is another component. and
Yeah.
it can be plugged into any part of the job. So this is also what we are working on with doing custom models for our clients, custom AI models that essentially post-edit machine translation. So
Yeah.
creating this minimum viable localization product for clients, meaning that we can do that for any part of their journey, which is it might be marketing, testing, it might be new product features that have not yet established,
Yeah.
or any supporting content as well.
I love how Viveta is following and asking so many questions
Yeah,
because
thank
what
you,
she's
Rebecca.
asking there is super, super interesting. That's like, how do
Mm.
you feel it, or how do you see it when translated to like do
Mm.
just efficiently
Mm.
adapt to manager title?
Mm. Uh, uh, it's a good question because for the longest time, I don't know if you've noticed, but native is actually ranked one in pros from the translator feedback. So we are ranked first there. Uh, we have really good. We've always praised our relationships with the translation vendors, and it's incredibly difficult time for them as well. And it goes hand in hand to how we try to find value, and I think they're doing the same. Uh, and I believe the processes that we implement, they are based into finding the most value out of our translators, because we are no longer paying them to typewrite or just translate manually. We are paying them for their actual knowledge, their expertise in the industry.
Yeah.
So, and I
And
think
being
that,
flexible, yeah, that leads
yeah.
me to a very good question. But since you mentioned value, because and
Mm,
also speaking about strategizing and flexible strategizing, and our
mm.
mindset as millennials, what happens when the value of your current efforts is no longer there, right? What happens?
Yeah,
Tell us some situations that you face there.
that's a horrifying feeling, and
Yeah, it is.
it's
Losing
a
clients is a horrifying stuff
yeah.
always.
And the reaction to that can be very different. We can see, as I said, if you have enough like a money pillow, you can think about that this might go away. But for us who are a smaller company, we have to we are able and we have to react immediately to these fluctuations and changes in the market, because one, it's not just about survival, it's also about gaining an edge. Because uh, for me, what it meant was just trying to dig in and just keep trying to find these concepts that could work. So I've been using LinkedIn to just put all my thoughts out there. It's free, and I can gain a lot of validation, a lot of feedback and criticism on ideas that doesn't work. So strategizing actually, that helped for me to just put all my ideas out on LinkedIn. So essentially getting
The value,
uh,
getting the value. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
comments and feedback from other industry experts. So we landed into a place that we seem to be able to find value. And actually, when we just drill down on these workflow orchestration and just moving away from a single purpose TMS to rather having these a lot
yeah,
of components, we actually noticed that we can the playing field has equalized essentially. So we are again able to compete with companies that have run away with their services. So
yeah,
that has been a very good feeling to just again test your ideas, make them public. There's no need to uh, keep them inside, and just
yeah,
getting public opinion on your ideas is very helpful,
yeah. It
and it
is,
helps
it is, it
and
is,
it
and
helps you
it fosters
move, yeah, much faster.
I think it fosters a lot the sense of community, which is something that we have in
Yes.
our location industry big time.
Yeah.
And it does help a lot to to
Yeah. Just
to
talk to
express your
people.
opinions, bringing the value there, because I mean I consider myself a privilege because I am doing what I like to do for work and for living,
Mhm.
right? And my role is to travel, to be there, to meet the people, to connect, right? But if you think about it, unfortunately, most of the people, unfortunately, no, it depends
Mhm.
what everyone likes. Most of the people are. scattered all over the world in an office in wherever
Yeah,
in Timbuktu and isolated from the world, and they do not get to know the community and contribute, right? And
yeah,
with this topic, when I bring it, and look, Tatiana is also very engaged today in the conversation. She has another question, and since you're an expert in building teams and hiring and getting people for their skills, tell us what skills
mm,
should organization managers have to succeed in your field, at least in native. How do you hire them? Which
yeah.
skills do you look for, my friend?
Mm. Uh, for the most part, we are looking to teach them to understand how the whole web looks like, how the component based structure of localization process looks like, and how each of these components, if you take them out, if you put them in, how will it affect the whole process. And essentially, learning each of these components separately, it just helps being a better localization manager in our company, at least, because we are able to be there for our clients and then explain them to the value of each component, and if they actually need it or not. Because uh, currently, I think localization is the wild west of different things, AI, different things, machine translation, and uh, I think I think it desperately needs someone to be able to make some sense of it.
Yeah,
Put say how these things interact with each other, and what actually using one or the other thing means for their
yeah,
process, and how does it affect their performance in those markets. So yeah, being very curious about what happens is a very
yeah,
on high regard in our company. We even have incentives when we compensate our localization managers. We compensate also their curiosity and the knowledge they bring. We have these uh, little seminars inside. We have these topic discussions, and everyone can bring the topic that they have read upon and discuss. And yeah, we really encourage curiosity here.
all right. So, my friend, you and I, we're young but still middle-aged men, still so far. Can I take you on a walk down memory lane?
Sure.
No, I would like to ask you, so you reflect on your career a little bit because all the things you told us are very interesting, and I really enjoyed promoting your philosophy, the way you lead, your how you
Mm,
do approach um, localization problems, how you deliver solutions to your clients. I think it's interesting
mm.
that everybody hears this
Thank
approach.
you.
I'm thankful for this, but I would like, as I said, to take you down memory lane and reflect a little bit on your career. And I know it's not that we're not even in the
Not,
middle of it. Let's say
not
that,
a
right?
beautiful lane.
But as I do that, I was thinking of asking you about your approach to building and leading teams and how that has evolved in the last years,
Mm.
or since you realized, because there's a moment where you realize, oh my God, I'm just not doing the same things the way I was doing it, right? Can you
Yeah.
share with us a little bit about that
Mhm. Yeah.
that evolution and those lessons that you've learned? Because those that might be useful for those listening.
Yeah. I'm probably I like to call myself a child of the industry because I've
Yeah.
started from the trenches, from the very ground level. I've done uh, junior project management work. I've done a lot of translation myself.
Uh huh.
I have a degree in translation myself as well.
Okay.
In translation and interpreting, I almost didn't go into project management. I almost went the path of being an interpreter for the EU, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't, because I started on a path of project management, and I spent a lot of time doing that, which then,
The
because
I
as you
love it.
said,
I love it.
my sorry.
I love the trenches. I love how you say the trenches.
No, I didn't
That's so
mean
funny.
to say it like that, but
No,
because
no. I mean, it's
yeah, it's just how I see how my career has progressed, and because of the fact that I was able to talk to people easy, I think that's what characterizes me. Is I talk about these issues in a very easy way. I try to reduce the friction as much as possible. So
into
that landed me the position of being into basically company development operations, and yeah, and at some point we started our own company, and let me tell you, I had no. You can lead a company with no knowledge about business at all.
Uh,
Yeah, the necessity for learning stuff just comes with the uh,
yeah,
as you grow, you just understand that there are some roadblocks that cannot be moved without you knowing more about that stuff. So it might be the slower way to do things, but this is how native has grown into what it is now.
yeah,
And we've just essentially, when we arrive to a roadblock, we look at this and how we can make it go away. So uh,
awesome.
maybe if
And
it's yeah,
yeah,
if
yeah,
it might be just employing new people that know how to remove those. It might be just you studying. The last year showed that we had no knowledge about strategic thinking, so we basically invested all our time into doing that. So yeah, I think you can start from nothing and just listen to what's happening, and yeah,
all right.
and
And
I'm nowhere close to where I want to be.
that's
So
awesome because the best is still yet to come. But can you tell me
always.
some value that you've learned along the way? Like some of the things that you say, hey, I wasn't giving that much importance that in the past, but now it's like, I cannot live without that, especially
Uh,
while leading your teams.
Networking, net network as
Networking.
network as much as you can, because I my company
Everybody
is
hear that out. Network as much as
my
you can.
company is 7 years old now. Uh, I've been doing networking for 8 months, maybe. So uh, I wish I did that way sooner than I did, because it it not only gives you just 100 new ideas a day. It also gives you just it helps you understand your business better, and it doesn't matter if you are visiting an industry event, or it's like a tech event or fintech event or something like that.
Yeah,
There's always something you can take from these things. And yeah, be like yeah, always be like a sponge. You have to be a sponge for information. Just
yeah,
soak everything in, filter the rest of it out later, but just take everything in. Yeah.
yeah. So it's very useful and very interesting because filtering being a sponge at some point is also connected to what we started the discussion on, which is the flexibility, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's key and it's important that we continue promoting these certain values because not everybody is able to work in a team
Mm,
whose leader lives and leads by those values. And you can hear horror stories every day. Jump on calls all the time, and I hear horror stories from colleagues from our industry, from another industry. So
mm,
thanks for sharing those. And
yeah.
I thought as well, like I took you a little bit through the show, through reflecting on your career. Come on, we're just not even there. But I also want to ask you about the future, right? And I was thinking of my goals. And I'll tell you some of my goals in life, which they're okay, but I enjoy the path, right? But if
Mm,
I could think of goals, you tell me if you share them with me. What is happiness? Definitely. Okay,
mm,
one is happiness. The other one is connecting people or continue connecting people. I enjoy that. For some reason,
mm,
like it brings me friendships, it brings me trips, it brings me business, it brings me happiness. Right? It makes me meet a
mm,
lot of people. And then connected to this, of course, comes bringing wealth. Right? To friends, family, to the company that you work at. Are we connected there?
yeah,
Yeah.
for the most
All
part,
right.
happiness is a huge one, and it's very easy to uh, when you are
Yeah.
responsible for other people, it's very easy to be critical about yourself. It's just
Oh.
that's where you lose part of the happiness, because uh, you always think you are not doing enough, and
Oh.
you
Okay.
have to reflect, and just
So you
always
had.
always keep tabs on your goals, because you might even not notice how much you have done over a year, and that's what can get you depressed if you don't keep tabs on what you've done, because
Oh.
uh, yeah, that goes into happiness. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's one
So
of the big.
and setting those, it's yeah. I'm happy where we. That's why we owe each other a few beers next time. Huh? So let's
Yeah,
talk about this.
definitely.
But I was telling you because and I came up with this to I mean to ask you if you agree with me on these goals on this I personally love goals, but I believe more in the path and following and enjoying the path, right? So that's it.
Mm,
But following the path is like always to me looking towards the future, or the at least the near future, which is
mm,
the
mm.
important part, right? Or otherwise you end up having anxiety, right?
Yeah.
How do you envision like your leadership style, this flexibility, this strategizing we talked about, this all the things you do for your team?
Mm.
How do you envision the future of that, of your leadership? Can you tell us a little bit? How do you see yourself? If you
Yeah.
ever thought of that?
Uh, Now I'm thinking about it. uh, yeah, I think that the biggest happiness is that when the things you do actually inspire your team to be the same. Uh, what I've tried to do is just to inspire just being curious about everything, because there's so many things to be curious about, and in terms of how it looks like down the road, it's very difficult to just predict what will happen, because our industry, I think, changes every 5 minutes. And
Yeah,
what I'm hoping for is that we are still able to keep up, to just be at the front of what's happening, and be the sort of the pillow for our clients as well, just to mm, be making
yeah,
sense for them, so that because the amount of information that comes in, and everything's just everyone's pulling the blanket to their side. So
yeah,
what we are trying to do is just we are trying to, and I hope we will try to keep doing that, is just provide value, be objective always, and just
yeah.
yeah, I hope we can
I'm
keep
sure
that.
you'll do, man. I'm sure you'll do
And one another thing that I always believed since day one is that um, I have this idea. No matter how big you grow, I always want to keep this small company spirits, small company attitude towards clients, because uh, there's a tendency for it to drop off when you grow larger. But yeah, this is one of my hopes, that first I hope that we grow to that size so we have that problem, and the
yeah,
second one is just maintain the small company vibe towards the clients. Just
yeah.
be the same native
I've seen
towards.
that being lost. I've seen that being lost in the company that I work for. So and yeah.
Mhm.
Well, my friend, any closing remarks do you want to
Mm.
add? Some advice you would like to give to our friends listening today?
I wanted to. I don't know if somebody's listening from a LSP of similar size to me, is just don't be discouraged, because uh, for companies of our size, it's a lot easier to be flexible than the big ones. So it's easier to keep finding value. Just be honest with yourself, and trust me when I say that these new technologies have even the playing field significantly, because um, the tech that used to be available for only the large companies now is available for everyone. So just keep digging, and trust me that you will be able to find value uh, through just being much more flexible than the others.
Being flexible.
Yeah.
That's correct. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for
It's been
having
a
me.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And I know I hope you felt comfortable. I wanted to
No, it
see
was
you
a
more
lovely
specific.
talk. Thank you. Yeah.
Really, I know you were introvert, but I wanted to make you
I
feel
still
comfortable
am.
to share. Yeah, but I think, as I said, one of my goals doing this Merging Minds episode is to bring to the professional community people like you, people that are nice, a lot of introverts, whatever,
Mm,
regardless, people that have good values, people that have vision, millennials like us, man, that have eaten the shit sandwiches, the my friends say, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
how we see the future coming up, how we're flexible. So thank
Mm.
you so much for being here. I hope you come back
Of
to the
course,
podcast in the
we have
future.
another topic in our minds. So yeah, let's come back.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you
talk
to
soon.
everybody listening. So and one closing remark I have tomorrow, my colleague, my dear Tibeta, lovely, lovely, lovely. I love her the show she does on Virgin Minds. She's having another episode tomorrow named "What is the impact of AI digital transformation era on terminology?" And she'll be broadcasting at 4 p.m. Central European. So please don't miss this opportunity to learn from her and her guest. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good one.